Thank you all for coming. Yes, my name's Andrew Foxcroft. I work at Kirklees Active Leisure. I look after the energy for all of the buildings that we manage. We manage them for the Kirklees Council, as you can see by the slide there. We manage 14 centres. Some are dry sites, swimming, and some have swimming pools as well. So there's a cross section there. We are a non-for-profit organisation, as it says there. Obviously, so this shows you the number of users that we get through our centres each year. Obviously, the more users you have, the more users you actually will take the energy from the buildings. So more people use the hot waters, showers, swimming pools, and also when they're in the gyms, the air conditioning has to work harder because obviously they sweat more, give off body smells, etc., etc. So as you can tell, we've been steadily increasing over the past 2 years. Myself, I started with Kirklees Active Leisure about 2.5 years ago now. So I think Cal have been at the forefront of the ESOS, or before the ESOS, doing the energy management and reducing energy. Obviously this is a CO2 slide now, so you can actually see what we have done. It's not just pie in the sky, it has actually made a big difference in our buildings and the energy consumption that we have used and are using. So I'll go through a couple of centres now with you to show you what we've done and what's on the centres. So Deaton Sports Centre, it's a dry sports centre, so basically there is no swimming pool or water slides or anything like that. That basically shows you what is at Deaton. So we've got a fitness suite, gym area, there's a multi-use studio, multi-use sports centre, a little function room, and obviously all the changing facilities to go along with it. So this slide here shows you the gas consumption. This is a rolling 12-month gas consumption slide. And as you can see, it's been going down steadily, and we've sort of hit a plateau with what we've installed. I think we installed that 1.5, 2 years ago now, the first energy saving project we ever did. And as you can tell, that has brought the gas down. And that is the electric slide. And again, you can definitely tell when we did something to bring the electric down. So, them two slides were actually produced from an Excel spreadsheet. Now, obviously I'm a keen person in believing what people say, and I turn around to them and say, is that true? How can you prove to me that that is what is going to happen? So obviously an Excel spreadsheet, anybody can produce a graph. It doesn't take long to produce some figures. We actually monitor our usage from smart meters that we have on the electric system and the gas. So we have an electric contract with npower and a gas contract with British Gas. So that is physical data that we get from the energy meters on the gas system. So, and as well, this produces our bills, does this system. So, as you can tell there have been a few peaks and troughs, but the general trend corresponds with the Excel spreadsheet earlier on, which shows a downward trend. And again, that is the npower electric site where we get the data from. So what did we install to produce that? We were at Deaton Sports Centre, with it being a dry site, it's only a small site, so there's only a small plant room. There's one air handling unit on site which produces, supplies and extracts the air from the whole building. So myself and George were going to be looking at fitting a VSD, a variable speed drive, onto the side of the air handling unit. Now, we got in touch with a few firms, and a local firm to us came out to give us a cost. And the guy that came out turned around to us and said, have you heard about EC fans? Me and George looked at one another and went, what are EC fans? No idea. So then that is when we got introduced to the EC fans, and you can tell by the slide on the right hand side of the slide, that is what an EC fan is. It's the motor and the variable speed drive all built into one unit. So it is a lot more efficient at moving the air, and also you reduce the cost from your maintenance side because you don't have the belts. You don't also have the losses in the belts, the motors and the windings. And obviously you can tell there by the costs what it actually cost us, and that is what has reduced the gas and electric at Deaton Sports Centre, just purely by investing that money in that air handling unit. So I'll move on to a slightly bigger site, Dewsbury Sports Centre. This is one of our bigger sites now. It is one of the biggest sites within Kirklees Active Leisure. It's got a wet side, swimming pool, and also a dry side. So that gives you an idea of what is at the centre. This slide shows the electric consumption that we've managed to achieve recently at this centre. And again, obviously, that's the gas consumption. So again, they are two Excel spreadsheets that we keep track of. So again, how can I prove that? So that is the end power data that we get from the smart meter on site. So this is actual data. This is not made up in any way, shape or form. This is the data we use to keep an eye on our energy usage. And again, that is the British Gas data. Obviously, I'll touch on this in a bit, when you look at the electric data, you'll see there's 2 or 3 high spikes there. Unfortunately, at Dewsbury Sports Centre, that is when our CHP machine stopped working. So Kirklees Active Leisure is very keen to promote CHPs in leisure centres. We feel that they are a must in a sports centre. Some people disagree, some people won't. But obviously, as you can see, if you don't have them running, the cost of electric does go up significantly. So what did we do at Dewsbury to get these reductions? One of the first things we did was install variable speed drives to motors. These are motors that move water around the system, like heating pumps for your pool. Because obviously moving water is an expensive business. So basically what we did, we fitted Hydrovar VSDs on top of the pumps, put them on a pressure system, so that then the pump only speeded up as and when it actually needed the system, needed the heat to be there. And as you can tell, that cost £3,000 and a payback of 2.5 years. The other things we've done, talked about earlier on, LED lights. We've installed a lot of LED lights, LED panels in the studios, but not only have we done an LED light system in the studios, we've actually managed to reduce the number of fittings in the areas as well, because LED lights obviously give off a better light than the traditional 600 by 600 panels that they replace. So as well as a saving from 80 watts to 40 watts for the LEDs, you can reduce the number of fittings in the room as well. We also have gone through a phase of installing occupancy sensors, because you tend to find that a lot of people, especially best will in the world, you do tell them to turn lights off. I know my kids at home, they know where the light switch is to turn the lights on, but they never turn them off, and it's exactly the same human behaviour. The receptionists will go turn every light on in the building, but the sports centre opens at 6:30, and some of the areas are not in use till 10 o'clock. So you've got 4 hours of lights being on for no reason at all. So we've actually gone through a process of installing occupancy sensors and also light level sensors. This picture here is Batley Sports and Tennis Centre. And what we've been looking at, as well as the LED lights, we've been looking at the induction lights, because in a swimming pool area, the environment is running around about 30, 31 degrees, and its relative humidity is going to be about 40 to 50% because of the environment it is. Now, if you put an LED in there, you might get 2 years, 3 years life out of it because of the way the LED is. It does not like the high temperatures. And obviously, if you look on the internet, you can find that information out. So we were talking to one of our lighting supply people, and they said, have you thought about induction lights? What are induction lights? We did not know what they were. So we went through a process of replacing lighting in swimming pools with the induction lights, and as you can tell there, it saved about half the power. The thing with the induction lights is they are classed as a daylight tube, so during the day you think that they're not giving off much light, but that's because it's daylight. When you go on an evening and it's dark outside, the area that they light is as though you've stepped out at 11 o'clock on a normal day. It is daylight light, and things that are white actually appear white. They don't have like an off-white tint, not yellowy colour. So again, these are things that we have installed, and they are reducing the energy a lot. Earlier on I touched on CHPs. Obviously this is just a slide to sort of show that we rely on CHPs a lot in our centres. We have 5 CHPs on sites, and obviously Dewsbury Sports Centre, as you saw earlier, the peaks, if the CHP goes off there, you're looking at it costing us maybe £2,500 to £3,000 a month more on the electric because the CHP is not running. Obviously the gas will drop, but it does not drop to cover the extra costs in the electric. We are at this moment in time going through a process of installing extra CHPs on our sites to help reduce the electric costs, because obviously the electric we get charged is, if you were to average it out, it would be about 11p a kilowatt, and I think the gas is about 3.5p a kilowatt. So at this moment in time is the time to install the CHPs. It's a little bit small as that, but what that shows is the actual bills that we actually pay out. This is not made up from any sites or anything. This is physical bills that we get from npower, British Gas and Yorkshire Water as a comparison from last year to this year for Dewsbury and Deaton. So as you can tell, they are being reduced. Obviously you can pick out the areas where the CHP wasn't running in Dewsbury on the electric and the gas, because obviously the electric goes up and your gas does reduce. Obviously as a charitable trust, we have had we have had a lot of money squirreled away, shall we say, in certain bank accounts, one thing or another. So we have had to do a lot of begging and pleading to get money to invest in our sites. But as of fairly recently, all the trustees who run Kirklees Active Leisure are very pleased with what we have done, and obviously the proof is there in the figures. You can physically see what we've invested in has actually reduced the electric, reduced the gas. Obviously these are just, again, these are actual bill figures. These are nothing from any sites or, oh, I think it's going to cost this much, so I'll put this figure down and it's going to save me this much. These are pure figures. And obviously this slide here, when you look at this slide, you can actually see what we have invested. The cost there is £269,000 we have invested over all 14 sites. Obviously, I know a lot of people don't have that sort of money, but when you look at what payback period we are getting on the money, again, you can see what we have invested. It's not pie in the sky, it's not someone selling, oh, I can save you 80% on your energy, give me all your money. This is actual figures, these are actual facts. You know, you need to sort of try to get the enthusiasm into your organisation for energy saving, because at Kirklees Active Leisure, the energy is the second highest cost behind the wages. This year, our budget figure that we put in is about £1.1 million. And going off what we've done on the budget figure, we're actually looking at about £60,000 under the budget figure. Obviously, when you do your own budget, you can put whatever figure in you want. So you can make yourself look really good. You can put a figure in that's £300,000 more, and people think you're wonderful. But what we've actually done, the budget figure we put in, we added on the 10% increase in the electric, but then we knew we were going to be doing some projects. So we then took some of the money off because of the project we were going to do and the hope of the energy it was going to save. And I forgot what I was going to say now. It's an age thing. Having 4 kids, it just messes with you, man. It really does. I can sell them to you if you want it. It's fine. Yeah, so like I said, getting the energy, people enthused about energy is what you have to do. There's no, oh well, it'd be right, it doesn't matter, we don't have to save the money. You have to save the money. You have to try and get people enthused and passionate about saving money. I mean, another example we've done, talking about the LED lights, we've just changed the little fitness centre we have. They had 600 by 600 4-tube light fittings in, so we put LED light panels in. We've reduced the number of fittings as well because of the amount of light that comes out from the LED panels. That is saving, the last 3 months, I think it's been saving about £200, £250 a month just on the electric. That total job costs, I think it costs about £2,500 to us. It's obviously a year payback, and you've got the money. You've got that £2,500 back. You know, it does work. I don't think I've got anything else to say unless people have questions they want to throw at me. Like I say, I'm here for the rest of the day, so fire away.
Andrew, a couple of questions if I may. Your business is very similar to ours, similar spend, exactly the same kind of use. In terms of your numbers there, have you been able to define, so let's say overall you're down 15-20% of what you would have been unless you put these measures in, how much each one is? So, is LEDs worth 5% and CHP worth 8%?
Unfortunately, we've not really been able to do that because we keep such a track on the electric. Me and George are keen to put these figures in every day. We have a big spreadsheet that's really big. So what we do, we've got every site has a spreadsheet, but a spreadsheet man. But again, if you can't monitor your spreadsheet, you can't monitor your usage, you don't know. So every day, if we do something like fitting the LEDs, we put a little note on that says January 1st, fitted LEDs, so that we know that from that day, that's when the LEDs were fitted. And usually you do find that the electric from that point will come down. So you do have a proof for the starting point. The thing is, we've done that many jobs now on the site, we can't specifically say that the LEDs saved us this, the LEDs saved us that. We're at a point where we're saying all the projects save this much. We've invested this much, that's how much they've saved, and that's the payback.
So your return on investment is a collective one rather than return on investment on LEDs is X amount?
Yeah, obviously like the Deaton Sports Centre, it was just one project on that site, so we could say that. But when you start getting up to 3, 4, 5 projects, we don't have the meters specifically in the areas to say that saved this much, that saved this much. Our meter is just a site-based meter, main site meter.
And final question, if I may. In terms of the LEDs, we did this exercise last year where we found that you've got to be very careful. It's a bit of a kind of a we've had various people out and they'll look at the whole thing and you do spend X amount and you'll get this. And when you actually break it down, there's an awful lot of areas which simply don't pay back. They can be 8 years, they can be 10 years, and it's simply not worth it based on the usage. Did you find in your buildings there were either particular fittings, obviously, but also particular areas that were more worthwhile? And you said you haven't done all of them, am I correct in saying?
Yeah, we've not done all of them. We're just recently starting to go through a lot of the LED changes. And you're right, we have found that there's some areas that you do want to do more than other areas. So, like a corridor that might be on from 6 o'clock in the morning till 11 o'clock at night, then that is the key area to put the LED lights in because it's on all day. An office that might be used 11 till 12, why should I bother? Obviously it is nice because not only does it reduce your energy, but it also reduces your maintenance cost. You don't have to go get your maintenance guy there with his ladder to go up, change the tube, come away. And unfortunately on our sites, due to the age of some of the buildings, they've got that many different fittings in. They might look exactly the same, but one lamp will fit one won't fit another. So he's up and down his ladders 2-3 times just to change a tube and a bulb. So again, it is nice to do that, but you do have to use the high usage areas first. Yeah.
Andrew, in terms of CHPs,
Yes.
did you look at capital versus company supply? So, you know, you can go for either option. You can raise the capital, or you can have a company come in and actually supply and split the cost.
Our CHPs, the 5 that we've got are old CHPs that have been in since day one, so I don't know which way they went. The new CHP, we've actually raised the capital ourselves and we're paying outright for it, because obviously you can go to Energy and Kitchenco and all these. There's loads of people who will sell you the CHP and then say, I'm going to take this much of your money back and sell you the gas and sell you electric and tie you all in. We don't do that. We've got one guy who comes, we pay him a service contract, we pay him the service bit, and then we get all the money back, and he's the person who's installing the new CHP for us. We did have to go out to tender for the job, because obviously it's a council building, it's their asset, so they wanted 3 quotes. Now, out of the 3 quotes, this guy was the cheapest. He came out at about, I think it's about 65,000 to install the new CHP. The other companies were 80, 90, I think one even went about 120, something like that. But they were the companies that would install it, and then they would supply the gas, or they would take the electric, and they would do this and that. So there is a lot to think about with the CHPs.
Also on CHP, obviously at your wet sites, you've got more of a use for the hot water for the heat. Do you bother with CHPs at your dry sites? Does it stack up?
We've not done a CHP at the dry sites yet.
Right.
The site we use does have a swimming pool. Obviously, I don't think it would be cost effective to put a CHP in a dry site because of the heat load. It might be depending on what size your dry site is and what heat load you do have. It's one of those questions you would have to go away, have a look at, and then see what was the best option.
Thank you.
I'm just interested to hear about your occupancy centres and trying that and applying the behaviour change. Do you engage with your employees in terms of about the energy use and how they can be involved in
We do.
or do you automate?
We do try to tell them to turn the lights off, but within Kirklees Active Leisure, the staff seem to change around sites very quickly. So you tell them one week to do it, and they might do it for a week, and then they fall back into their own ways and their own habits of leaving lights switched on. So like at Dewsbury Sports Centre, the reception is in the wet side building, and the sports hall is in the dry side of the building, which is linked with a bridge. So they went in there in the morning, turned every light on, and in the sports hall there was 41 light fittings, all with 400 watt tubes in. So they were just on 6 o'clock in the morning. The sports hall might not get used till, like I said, 10 o'clock. So what we did, we changed the lights there for induction lights, which halved it straight away. Then we put occupancy sensors in, so that it could still turn the switches on as per normal, but the lights wouldn't come on until someone was actually in the hall using it, which we found is the best way to do, because you can tell people to turn things off. And they will do for a week, 2 weeks, maybe you might get 3 weeks, but then they just forget about it. Maybe they don't have time to remember to do it, or they just forget about doing it.
Or they just think it's part of their job or someone else to do it.
Yeah, why should I go there? Just turn them on. I'm too busy writing this or doing this. Yeah.
So a double question. Are you dictated to in any way by your measurements you want payback periods? And if so, are there any other energy saving methods you looked at in discounted because they don't meet those periods?
When we come up with an energy scheme, obviously we do say to them, well, it might pay back in 3 years. We have a rough idea of what it's going to save and how it's going to pay back. But as for a specific payback target, they are not bothered about that. Because obviously the projects we have done, like the one at Deaton was the very first air handling unit one we did. So we put a payback period of about 3 years on it because we weren't quite sure what it would. Looking at all the figures, I think it's paid back in about 1.5 years. So obviously, going from that, all the other projects are paying back quicker than we actually say, because myself and George, we're cautious about what we do. We don't want to go the opposite way. We prefer to give it longer period, and then when it comes back, shorter period, it looks better. But they're not specific to say, I want this money paying back in 2 years, or 3 years, or 3 months.
Just on that, Andrew, yesterday you were telling me about a caution tale without naming any names of a big solar project. So I think it might be worth mentioning that.
Yeah, George Smith has been doing a bit of work over in other areas, shall I say. And what they've done, I don't know how they've done it, but someone has invested £500,000 in a big solar array for this sports centre. It's all been officially opened and one thing or other. And we were there the other day, and it actually, for the full day, it generated 285 kilowatts. Now, if you work that out at 11p, you're talking about £28 that it generated in electric, but it cost £500 million. So you think, well, is that really 500,000? One of those days. You think, well, why would someone go for that route? Why would they invest £500,000 on a £30 a day payback period? On our site, we haven't really looked anywhere down the green route at the moment, because we're looking at the ways of producing the electric and gas with what we have got, investing in variable speed drives, investing in the air handling units, investing in the LED panels, because they are what saves you money. Fair enough, we could go install green solar panels and wind turbines and everything else, but why would we want to put the money into that when we can invest it into reducing the energy now and getting it down to what it is? Obviously, we do keep having energy meetings, myself and George, with all the trusts and everything, with the trustees of Kirklees Active Leisure. And we've worked out that if we hadn't have done anything to our energy 2 years ago, 2012, when I started, we would be paying about, I think we would be paying about £500,000 more on our bills now with the cost if we hadn't have done anything. So you look at it and you think we do need to do something. It's not just pie in the sky. You don't have to worry about it. You have to get impassioned about it. Yeah.
Thank you. How do your clients typically pay for the upgrades that lead to the savings? Are they predominantly out of capital reserves, or are there other funding
The
streams that they have?
Hercules Active Leisure have had big capital reserve funds, so we've actually gone to the trustees and said, can we have some of that money to invest in our centres to reduce the energy? And they, like I said, we are fortunate, they have said yes, here you go. So we are going in January again to ask for another load of money to carry on investing, because there are a lot more things that we can do on the air handling units, on the pumps, with LED, because obviously we are going through a process now of installing LEDs to reduce the maintenance cost and the energy as well.
That's interesting, because a lot of businesses can be persuaded by the business case, but they don't have access to that upfront funding to implement those changes. So that's where a lot of the delay can happen. It's not a lack of awareness as to the benefit, it's actually finding the money.
Finding the money,
to do it.
yeah.
Yeah.
What we got?